Oh yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1.
This is episode number 436 of the EP Water Cooler, a new dimension of WordPress.
Woohoo! That was probably loud. Sorry about your ears.
I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me at Jason Tucker on maybe Twitter. We'll see if it lasts the rest of the day.
I'm Stay Reed at Stay Reedy Media. Stay Reedy Media on all the things, not just Twitter. I'm taking over the internet with it.
You can go and subscribe to us as an audio podcast on Audible, on Apple Podcasts, and all those places. And you can also go hang out with us in Discord. Find the links down below in the description, and you can do that there. We have a friend on the show today.
I
Anthony,
apologize
how
in
you doing?
advance for my cat. If you can hear it, I apologize. Okay, I don't have my crisp on because I don't want to shut my computer off.
It's all good.
One or the other. Anthony, tell us about yourself. Hi. Hello.
Oh man,
I'm so stoked.
Hello, thanks for having me. Yeah, tell me.
Okay. So you're, I said we would get this out of the way at the beginning. So let's get out of the way. Your day job, your like, WordPress day job is.
Yeah, I work at WP Engine and I help build advanced custom fields, so ACF, and
Yay.
my team builds that. So yeah, I've been
Standing.
Yeah, I've been with WP Engine for almost 8 years, I guess 8 years and a few months. So it's been a long time and been doing a lot of fun stuff over the years.
Anyone who does WordPress anything past like any sort of amateur or like end user level is like grateful to ACF and everything that it brings to the table. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to hear that. It's so cool how many sites are using it. It blows my mind every time I make a little change to it.
I literally put them on a site that I was just spinning up for like a week. It was like a little microsite, and I was like, well, I need this field. Yeah. Anyway, that's not why we're here today. We're not here to stand about ACF. We're here to stand about something completely different.
But I do stand.
Oh, no, I am still standing. You will see the stand during this episode because I am hyped on what you were doing. So can you tell us about your side hustle that is a whole thing, a whole world?
A whole thing.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, so I
with
a couple years ago, with my co-founder Ben Moore, we started a company that was doing Metaverse hosting, and this was during the pandemic when my wife lost her job. We needed to fill in the hole that we weren't making as much money, so this was an opportunity, and it worked out. It got us through.
By the way, good job picking the Metaverse and not Web3.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny.
That was a good choice.
There was a brief period where even the metaverse sounded kind of gross to us, and it was around that time that like we weren't sure, because with the rebranding of Facebook calling themselves Meta, they were kind of owning the word. But prior to that, everyone was kind of getting on board with that word, and while it's not my favorite, like cyberspace is a lot cooler in my opinion, but it's not something that everyone's gonna get on board. Like neuromancer or like cyberspace is like I'm in like who is that? Isaac Asimov, like sci-fi novels. And I like that one. It's nice.
Like
it's not owned by some corporate thing. But Metaverse is fine.
I could get into that.
So the way I feel about it is whatever people are using, who am I to try and steer people's language and just get on board with
that's not what Mark Zuckerberg said. He literally was like, who am I? I am going to steer people's language.
And now you have
Mark Zuckerberg.
To some credit, they've done a lot of good for the space. I mean, they do a lot of work with React. There's a lot of work they've been doing with the browser space for WebXR, and yeah. So back to like the company and how we got to where we are now. We were doing hosting for a platform called, but using a platform called Mozilla Hubs, and it was called Hubs Cloud. And it allowed people to have these like virtual events where people came together and you have microphones, spatial audio, people had avatars, like that kind of thing.
I played with that actually in 2020. I played with it. I set up a whole world. I was looking at that. I was hosting a bunch of spoken word poetry virtual events, and we were experimenting with formats and past Zoom, and all of that stuff was so nascent and new. It wasn't anything that I felt like I could deploy, but it was so much like Oh, this was almost just ready. It wasn't quite ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what we made is a one-click, like a managed provider for that, where people just kind of logged into our portal, clicked one button, pointed one DNS record, and they were live.
Oh.
But it was kind of expensive. Like, it's a great platform, don't get me wrong, and they're actually about to launch a really big revamp that makes it much more simple in the architecture. But what we had found is a lot of people wanted to do very custom things, and every time they would customize it, it basically forked the software, and it was just hard to manage for us. So we didn't see a really good path to scaling it. They have a great path to scaling it because they're more tied into the software and, controlling the destiny there of it. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, but since then, we've still been doing the hubs thing. I've been releasing some open source code on how people can do, like, the Web3 wallets and all of that stuff on top of it. But I saw a huge opportunity in WordPress. I've been trying to crack at this for a long time, and getting WordPress more integrated with the metaverse or just 3D spaces in general. And I had,
right? Like,
yeah, and like I
is there
had
any
one approach.
integration other than what you're doing? Like, I am not
Seen any, but the way that I was doing it prior to building the plugin that we're going to talk about in just a moment, I was using the REST API to consume inside of like Unity apps or native apps inside of augmented reality, and I built a music synthesizer app in AR on iOS, and like that's still in the repository there that they have. But I never found that I could. It just felt too disconnected. Like, I was editing content on a WordPress, expecting to consume it, and it just felt like I was forcing something that really shouldn't have been the right way to do it.
like
So
building with PHP code inside the editor. You're like, this could
it's
work.
kind of weird.
But like, should I do
Yeah.
this? I should definitely not do this.
Yeah, so I switched over to kind of exploring. Well, I make a lot of 3D objects, and I like to share them with friends. But I didn't have a great way to like display the object. I could upload it to Sketchfab or something like that, but it didn't really. It was hard to show people, and no one wants to really go to Sketchfab and look through the viewer and click a button to make it load and all that. Anyway, in March, I released a plugin that it was a very simple model viewer, and it allowed you to upload a single object, and you could view it in VR, AR, or just flat on your screen. And and that
at
just,
an address.
yeah.
It's like at a browser address.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just in a post, you
So
just
at a
put it as a
URL,
block.
right?
Yeah, so then you would hit the post and it would have that, and they could click enter in VR, and here I've got a headset, like they could just click on, put the headset on, click on the enter in VR button, and they're in. And that was great and good, and I've enjoyed doing that. And I've built up this really, really gross website that's just got a bunch of links and objects and things. It was just basically a sketch pad. And I started finding that WordPress is pretty ripe for the builder experience to be entirely in WordPress, or at least mostly in WordPress. So I 2 months ago in September, I think, is when
So
so
sorry,
September
like,
I revamped it, and
popcorn.
so I thought, like, maybe we can make an editor and use blocks and inner blocks. So there's this, like, the concept of there's like a container block, and you can define what blocks go inside of it. And I built up just a very small library of 3D blocks that I wanted to load inside of a container. But then I started getting deeper down the rabbit hole, and I was like, well, now you got to be able to click on the object, drag it, scale it, position it, that kind of thing. And it got really deep. So over the last 2 months, I've been building this editor, and it's now done. It will have multiplayer features. A lot of stuff is coming in the future. It's going to be a place you can hang out in your website with no configuration. That was a big thing.
So cool.
Yeah, like DNS is really hard. Yeah, so I had found that one of the hardest parts of getting metaverse software online in the past was you have to tell somebody to point DNS, and they've got to trust that where they're pointing it is something that they're in control of and is safe, and
they have to know how to do that also.
Yeah, and a WordPress site, somebody's already done that once at least,
Right,
so
right.
the site is already live. The opportunity is just making it one click installable and activate. And so yeah, we've accomplished that. We have network settings, but I have them disabled currently in the plugin because I want to responsibly launch this, because it will give multiplayer out of the box through WebRTC using a service that we're using. It's a library that a man named Greg Fodor built, that is a WebRTC layer that just handles the signaling through a Cloudflare worker, where two people can enter a room, they connect through the worker, and then they're connected through WebRTC so that they can hear each other and see each other's positioning in the world. And the avatar system right now in its very basic state is using Gravatar. So if you're logged in, it'll have a little ring and pull your Gravatar into it. So
oh my God, are we gonna have 3D Gravatars like Memojis?
Yeah.
I hate Memojis,
so
but I will definitely make a 3D Gravatar avatar. Is that next? That's totally next. Oh my God. Hey, maybe we can use Imagine, that AI generator, profile generator, to generate our Gravatars for our metaverse inside of your metaverse land.
You want to spin up a demo for us?
Wait, I have a quick question.
While you're doing that.
While you're spinning up that, my question is, hosting? So you're saying Cloudflare, right? Like so people are connecting in the cloud, right? So how does that impact the servers? Like what,
so
is this something you're loading up on a shared server? Like what is...
Yeah, it can be anywhere because you're just connecting peer to peer. So let me just show really quick like the editor.
I'm losing my mind. This is just the coolest thing. I want people to notice right now that they are inside. If you can't see this on your screen because you're listening as a podcast, you need to look at this. Just come look at the video just this one time, because we are right now inside of an editor, a post essentially, and this is it's unbelievable. We are literally in a 3D environment.
The right sidebar is there.
Yeah,
it's there.
I can't control my excitement about this. So can you go through maybe some of your block settings and what's happening on the screen?
Yeah. So here we have, this is the main container. If I look at the hierarchy view, you see that it's a 3D environment. And inside of this 3D environment are a bunch of inner blocks. And right now I've got 2 models and a portal. And there's a host of, or a suite of blocks that I've built out already. So there's the 3D model block, there's a sky block, image, video, audio, portal, text, and a spawn point. Yeah, so you can pick where people load in. Though right now I've got a little bug in that, I'll admit. So yeah, this is the way the editor looks.
How dare you have a bug?
So the container itself, you define a single object to be your like base layer. So I've got this like grid right now, and that's collidable, meaning you can walk on it. But there are other, like you can build more complex spaces that have like here's another space that I'm in right now that if I like walk over to this ramp, the physics in the game or the game engine or the framework allow you to walk up something and get over to like maybe some screens or whatever.
That is an accessible ramp. Or you can FYI.
It is. Gotta be accessible on the web.
So we're basically in the holodeck. We're in the holodeck inside WordPress, and I because the metaverse, I've always I love the metaverse. I think it's fascinating. I love playing miniature golf in wild places. It's really fun, but I really continually feel horrible about being inside anything relating to Facebook, and so this is just it's like the open source part of me plus this part, the metaverse part. It's like what you're doing is just amazing. This is so exciting. Thanks. You were saying earlier you're open sourcing your stuff, right?
So this is open source. This is in the WordPress. This is in the WordPress plugin repository. Everything you've seen so far is free and always will be unrestricted and free. I believe it's extremely important for the metaverse to be open, and part of that is at least having the ability to do basic things like put objects in a world, images, video, like just the core experience. And everything on top of that is where I hope to monetize. Is what can I do that's specific to an experience?
This is this is like you could make your own Second Life instance, and but the person doesn't have to be inside Second Life with their whole Second Life world, right? Like that's essentially the thing. It's like cross-platform because you're just like, here's this address, and you can go to it. Basically, you can go to it on your browser in like normal space, like this, right? And then you can go inside of your devices.
If you're in the headset. Yeah. So if you do have that on and you have the in-browser turned on, like if you load up the in-browser with the device on, you can tap on the interworld and then it goes full screen like that, right?
Yeah. So here's a video of that. So here's the browser in the state of loading the page.
What's the language that defines that? Like, what do you call that when you go from pushing the button to enter the world and going from being a in-browser experience to a full screen experience? Is there is there some HTML that's
WebXR.
involved in that? The WebXR
So
part of
it's
it.
called
Okay.
Yeah, so it's WebXR. That's the sort of open common layer that everyone has been using this with, and it's standard across all devices. Like right here in this video that I'm showing, this I'm using the Vive Flow, which I think is probably the most underpowered modern device that you can get.
Hmm.
And it looks great. It performs great. And this is a pretty complex scene. This is a new feature that I launched just last week, I believe, or this week, that adds open brush support. So there was this app in for that a lot of people were using on their Oculus Quest. I believe it's on every platform, but it's called Tilt Brush, and Google kind of abandoned it or passed it off. But a team called Icasa, Icosa, they picked up the software and have been maintaining it since then, and they've been building all kinds of new features. But part of the efforts that they've been taking on is a library where you can embed those open brush creations. You'll see that these brushes are animated, putting those in a way that people can add to their apps and render those sculptures in a headset or in a 3D experience. So so this was a very, like, this is an example of a sculpture somebody built. They could export that out and put it into their WordPress site now and do some really interesting things.
I can't even.
This is what Jimmy Fallon was using on his show of getting people to start using this sort of thing. So cool. I love it.
I mean, this what you're building is the thing that will connect people to the metaverse, because I think the with the Oculus and all of that, it's very much just like, of course, with Facebook, a walled garden. You turn it on and you're not creating so much as you are just within the worlds that they're giving you. So you're playing or you're looking at stuff, or you might be engaging, but you're not creating. And this enables artists and scientists, and just like a whole world of people who are creating things, even content creators, to create and participate in the metaverse, which like I don't feel like there is like, I feel like the barrier to entry of the metaverse, like it's like a portal you can't find, right? Like it's like hidden in something and you need a special viewer to get it or whatever. But this makes, because of how accessible WordPress is, this makes the metaverse and creating a just unbelievably accessible to people. I am
and here's something I'll show off that's kind of cool. So
show
this
it
is
all
a
off.
post, right?
I'm so
So I can click on this, and using just the native Gutenberg experience, I can hit Command C, and I have just copied everything that's in here to where I can go create a new post and just paste it. So you can make your templates of rooms so easily, and give it a title, publish that, and let's just see what happens. So you publish it, you view the post. I can load the world, and I'm in the world, and there's everything. Whoops, I just walked into a portal. So this is
over that portal. Just jumped out at you.
Yeah, it's right there. There it is. So this is actually an example of traversal.
Oh,
that's a page.
So then you can click here. So then you walk in here, and now I'm inside there. I can load that, and now I'm inside of this world.
Another page.
And then I can go over here and say, keep going.
I know I'm freaking out, but like I was already freaking out because I've been following you on Twitter, RIP Twitter, for a while now, and seeing you post this stuff. But hearing you explain it and walk through it is just like losing my mind.
But wait,
I've been really excited about stuff that's happening in WordPress these days, like all the diversity stuff. But like, this is exciting. Like, it's open source. Like, we can like
it's new.
It's new, but it's also like,
ta-da! Here's the sky background.
It's not creating for some megalomaniac billionaire. It's not within those walled gardens. Like this is the future of, okay, it's gonna sound really extreme, but the future of humanity. Like this is like where we're all, the bringing the 3D and the metaverse and this technology to people, just like with WordPress, bringing the ability to publish and put your words out there, democratizing publishing. We could debate about, whether or not we do that properly, but like, that's the idea. And that's what you're doing here. You're like literally
Yeah,
democratizing
so
the metaverse.
democratizing the metaverse. Yeah,
Ah,
that's the thing. Yeah, that's
I
so
was
that's
just
a
gonna
couple. That's a
keep
couple
freaking
phrases
out.
that we latch onto in our marketing is like democratize the metaverse, but also like the biggest one I think that I want to shift people's thinking on is a post is a place. Every single URL is a place and can be a place. So and that's where like demystifying the metaverse is extremely important because I think what part of what Facebook did early on that was not great. I don't know if they did it intentionally, but it just felt complicated and it didn't feel
Did
like I
they
could
do it
own a piece.
intentionally? Yes. Do they
I don't
lock
know.
people away from their
I still can't.
technology on purpose? Yes. Yes, they do. Anyway, I believe they do.
I don't. I like to assume the best, and I hope that they're going because they have done a lot of great things for
I'm over
VR
assuming the best
and
about megalomaniacs who run tech companies. Over it. Okay, sorry.
So what
yeah,
are the
it's been a
parallels
bad time for that.
with? It's like what are some of the analogs or the parallels here with existing WordPress stuff working in this space? During the pre-show, you were talking about some of those parts. Could you kind of jump into some of that, like the purse, for
Yeah,
instance,
so you're saying like with
if you don't mind
WooCommerce and other.
Yeah, how does that
Yeah, so
even work?
WooCommerce
You're
is
gonna
going to
go
be a
walk over to your
focus.
secret portal over here. I'm losing my mind. This is like feels like and one it's like from the 90s, maybe the 80s, like when you would walk through the worlds and you would advance a few and then you like turn left and then you'd like go ahead. Did you ever play those games? Like on
Yeah,
old like Apple IIe?
totally.
But like
Yeah,
I couldn't reach that stuff as a kid, but this is like now you can make it. You've made it
yeah,
to make
and
it inside of WordPress.
and
Just gonna keep
yeah,
losing my mind.
and I've put in like 20 blocks at a time, and nothing really. It doesn't get mad at it. Something we were talking about before the
So
break
cool.
that I think is really important to highlight is this is very much inspired where VRML was kind of an attempt at finding a markup language that could define spaces. And lately, I've just come to the realization that HTML just needs to be spatial. It just needs extra properties, like an image, right? Like, why don't we just use the existing specification for HTML images and just add position data, scale data, whatever makes sense for the 3D worlds. So I'm kind of doing that here, where if you click on image block, you can see you can control if it's got transparency, the XYZ location, the XYZ rotation, the scale, and all of that can be controlled outside of the block. So something I was highlighting also before the show is if you click on something and you move it, it is updating the block parameters that are in the inner block here. So if I move this over and I click on image block, these values all change based on what I did. So you can click
Like drag and drop,
click on an object,
3D drag and drop.
yeah, so you can hit the T key to like translate something. You can hit the R key to rotate something. And then you can hit the S key to scale something. So then it changes the gizmo and what it can do, and everything is updating on the block in the inner blocks. So it's
cool.
very native to WordPress. You can rearrange the block. So if I let's see, if I open the hierarchy, I can change the order and it'll change the order here. These are just blocks. This is very native, and I felt like it's important for that because Gutenberg opened up this opportunity, and I think it's important to use it and try and find these standards so that everyone can start building experiences like this. Because I think right now, just as Gutenberg sits, it caters heavily to this kind of experience. I didn't have to do any hacky things to support Gutenberg components. Everything's in the sidebar.
Well, I mean,
Everything
isn't that
respects the
because
hierarchy.
it's in React, right? That's what so much of
Exactly.
that's what all of the meta world is, not the metaverse, but literally meta, like Facebook meta. We're always gonna call it the company formerly known as Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's based on, right? Their whole world. Oculus and all that?
Kind of like so they've got Horizon. They've got their platform called Horizon Worlds. I think the fatal flaw with that is that people want to own it. If at minimum they want their domain to point to the world. At minimum, I think that's the thing that people feel a sense of ownership is when I go to X domain, I see my content and I can control what that content is. That's what's most important. And I think where they're falling short is they're trying to get everyone to their URLs, their apps, and that kind of, it just doesn't feel like ownership. And I think that's a big part of the metaverse, and not like Web3 token ownership. I just mean feeling like you own the space, like you control the space, that no one can jump in and watch you and
Elon.
collect data on you. This is all inside of your own site. And even with the multiplayer features that I'm adding, I'm not getting any data on like what people are talking to each other through. Like the WebRTC layer, I'm not collecting data there. That people are talking peer to peer. It's just that the signaling connects them.
It's
Yeah, so
amazing. It's like the
Anthony, are you going to be doing patterns in this?
yes.
Are you going to have like a car? Are you going to have like a car that's
my
the
God.
pattern, or a
Yeah,
house
so-
that's the pattern? And
we could just make patterns and then like share them all.
That's gonna be a plan. So I've got right now this little sample asset library for people to just download some very easy objects to get started with. Like you can, all of these, like this is a good example of a 3D gallery too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I want to give people starter objects, and with the pro update that I'm going to be releasing hopefully in the next month, I'm making pro blocks already. So I can, like, there's going to be a WooCommerce block. There's going to be a more advanced video block where you can pick the mesh shape of the video, so you could do really intricate things.
Okay, people will be able to create a store and put their product in a store, and people can go and experience the design and the curation of the store past a list on a website.
Yeah, and that'll be done through patterns. So
we could have a movie theater for water cooler, and you could watch water cooler and pick which one you want to have play up on the big screen.
That's what I was doing in that's what I was doing in the OG Mozilla Labs, and I felt like I was like, this is silly. All I'm doing is you're coming in a 3D world, and then you're looking at 2D. A Zoom. What is that? That is why I stopped doing it, because I was like, this is not the right use for this. But walking into a space and being able to explore design. I mean, IKEA, for example, is opening all these new just show places, rooms all over that are like, not giant IKEA warehouses where you then order. And these are not digital, these are real places, but they're just set up like the top layer of IKEA, right? All the little rooms. And then you order everything digitally and it gets sent to your house, which is the real world version of walking into a curated virtual space with your Oculus on. And that would be the next step for that. And that would be something that would really even the playing field for like, you can go to IKEA's showroom, but you can also go to your local small businesses showroom and see their cool ideas for design or product layout or vibe.
Yep.
Yeah. And this will work in AR too. So once we have some kind of glasses that can like let you project things, you could just scan up an area where you want products to load in your home and just have like a shop come to you and just kind of clear out your desk and put stuff there.
I am losing my mind.
So this is an example of reusable blocks.
Okay, yeah, show us. Sorry.
So this is reusable blocks. So I just saved a block as reusable, and you can then go to your reusable blocks, edit it, and then you can change it for your other posts. So you can build like a template out of this, save it as reusable, and then start off your posts really fast. So this enables your content creators to not have to even fumble with the controls. Like once somebody sets it, then you can just go in and let's say I want to change that image block. I can click replace image, and I'll pick this one. And if I click here, there it is. It's probably too small.
So then I can click S.
Yeah, so you can scale it, and there it is. It's so tiny, but you can scale it, and then now that image you can see it needs a transparent background. So I just click transparency, and then now I can publish it, and it replaced it.
So cool.
So this enables it to where people that don't want to fumble with a 3D editor can just focus on the blocks and change the info that's important.
Oh my gosh,
you're like changing the world right now. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Like this is
I wouldn't say that. Well, this is. I hope there's others that try
building worlds.
Of course, but like the fact that again, I just want to reiterate, like the metaverse is happening all over the place, but it happening within WordPress lends itself to obviously the open source ethos, open source till death kind of deal, and also just that the ethos of democratizing publishing. You've already put this in the plugin repo, like. You
can download this, I have what you see today.
I am a huge proponent of the freemium and the pro models because people need to get paid, and customization takes money and time and effort. So I think that has been one of the hugest things that has helped WordPress grow is that freemium model. So please do not feel like you need to apologize for that, because you're giving the tools at the baseline level, and then, you're going to be able to keep innovating and sustain your business, which totally valid.
Yep.
And we need you to sustain.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get me a pro license, like literally the second you do this.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
You can be customer number 1.
Yeah. I don't know where I'm going to evangelize for you, because it won't be on Twitter anymore, apparently, but I will evangelize wherever I can, because this is
cool.
This is new stuff that is this is the real Web3, right? This is not some bullshit, some bullshit crypto, like made up JPEG stuff. This is like literally going to change how people communicate and work and sell and interact. And it's built on WordPress, and it's just like, I keep doing these like really cheesy monologues at the end of WordPress.
Anthony,
we're not even realizing it.
We're honestly gonna have to you come back when you get your pro set up. Yeah. Because I definitely want to see how this works in the pro environment with all these really cool video features and things like that you're building out.
Remember how I said the spam thing at the beginning? You see how I'm not kidding? Like, I am just so excited about what you're doing. I think it's really cool, and it's also really needed, and it's also the answer to like Mark Zuckerberg, which makes me happy on a real deep level. So we appreciate you. Take care of yourself, please.
Oh, Anthony, where can people find the stuff that you're doing over here, so that way they can go take a look at it?
Yeah,
and links will be in the show notes as well, but for the people that are just listening.
Yeah, so it's in the plugin repository. So if you go to your admin plugin page, click add new, and type in the search bar 3 object viewer, it should be the first one that comes up. You can install and activate it. Just spell it out 3. I went text on that. But the website is the number 3ov.xyz. And but I would just go through the plugin repository, add the plugin, and then add a 3D environment block. If you go to my website, you can grab some sample assets. They're in the header menu there. You can click sample assets, and it'll have a gallery of objects you can download and start building a scene with, just to get a feel for it.
What's your website?
3ov.xyz.
Oh,
so
it's the
number
same
3ov.xyz. Yeah, and you can find links in the header, and there's blogs there too that kind of show you some new ideas.
Thank you very much. We're so excited.
We are very excited. We'll have you back. Talk to you later. Right, here's our outro. Go over to our website at ep436.com/subscribe to subscribe to this content over there. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Audible, and you can listen to us over on YouTube and watch us on
YouTube. We'll be in the Metaverse soon.
Don't you worry. Definitely.
We're coming for you.
See y'all later. Goodbye.
Woo-woo!